The Blue Jewel.
Chapter 8. Part 6. In this whole matter something does not add up. You're right, a faction of the White Robes corrupted by necromancy. Please, inside that tower no one farts without Fedoras knowing. Gosberg said these words as he drained a glass of wine. If what they say is true, bringing Elaban's triumph is a risk. Kush commented while desperately looking for something in his book. Agnorok stood up. No, they have paid 5 chests full of coins without question. If we don't, they will look for other mercenaries. But they need a priest from Elaban. For a quarter of what all the mercenaries of Almera offer us, they would go hunting for Arian. Everyone was left thinking, the council wouldn't care what means were used, the mags only wanted the jewel, Arian for them was secondary. Surely another group of mercenaries hired by the council or by the corrupt mags could kidnap her to obtain the jewel. Then the best thing is that we are the ones looking for the jewel. Krytus commented to the half-orc. At least we will be in control of the situation. If we do not accept, we will not be able to protect our friend. Kush sentenced. Aras stared thoughtfully into the fire. There is a traitor in the council, but we must go for the jewel. Or more. Gosberg added, draining the last glass before going to sleep. The next morning Kush and Aras met with the mags to sign the new contract and send a copy to Almera. Arian was walking absent-mindedly around the inn. Agnorok was sitting next to the fireplace. The young woman took a seat next to him and greeted him. Good morning. Agnorok turned his head to smile slightly. What does it feel like to be a priestess of the god Elaban? Arian shrugged. I don't know, it's a surprise, I had only heard that name in stories. The half-orc turned around completely, and then ate a piece of dry bread. Perhaps for some it was not a surprise. What do you mean? It is a great coincidence that the only person who can collect the triumph of Elaban appears before the magicians when they intend to go and look for the jewel. True. We have been without priests of Elaban for an era and you appeared just now. Arian was silent for a moment. Agnorok was right. What's the point of all this? But I didn't know what to say. This is the sign that a new era is about to begin. The half-orc reflected. Arian watched the half-orc, rough, with wounds, looking like he could kill anyone for 2 gold coins, but under that rough appearance there was an intelligence that was more dangerous than any sword. Agnorok was right, things were about to change forever. I'm scared, Agnorok. You have nothing to fear, if you are here you have a destiny to fulfill. The days passed and the preparations for the trip to Turkheimak had the mercenaries very busy. The main problem was to know where the Temple of Elaban was located and the most direct route. They only had the daylight time since if they stayed in the city at sunset it would be their eternal damnation according to legend. Fortunately the library of the Council of Magi had a series of maps of the Cursed City. With the help of Fedoras and his apprentice Iria they were able to consult everything they needed. The most interested in the subject were Arian, Kush, Gosberg and Vanus. Aras just wanted a reliable map to take with him during the trip, but he consulted the maps to get a clear idea of what they needed to do. Agnorok didn't show much interest in truth. He believed that it had taken a long time for those maps to be reliable and he trusted his instinct more once they arrived in the city. The dwarf and the rest would do what the others ordered them to do, so they stayed at the inn resting. The Council of Mags got them the best ship in all of Olbiana, a real gem from one of the best sailors in the world. It was not time to spare any expense, and the crew was accustomed to navigating the treacherous waters that. It was not a long journey. The Cursed City was located south of Olbiana, abandoned to its fate for more than 5,000 years. It was the eve of the trip and everyone was very upset about going to the Cursed City. Agnorok was somewhat restless and as the hours did not pass he decided to visit the Temple of Thani to make an offering. He was not especially religious, but after the dream after the cremation of Nilam he was obsessed. She needed answers and it was the only place where her gut said she would find it. The half-orc found the temple empty. Strange, the usual thing is that there was always some service to perform. Semi-orc greetings. A sweet voice spoke to her. She was the priestess who had performed the funeral for Nilam. Greetings, priestess. She announced to me that you would come. The priestess smiled and took a seat on a stone throne, just as in her dream. Then the same raven that she had seen in the dream that same night alighted on the arm of the priestess. Don't be naive, Agnorok, you think my goddess wouldn't warn me that you'd come. The half-orc was puzzled. The priestess stroked the head of the raven, who closed his eyes gratefully. I've seen that crow before. They are Thani's servants, we raised them here. True, but this raven was not born in this temple. The priestess smiled again. Do you think it has come out of the underworld itself? In reality, it is an unimportant issue. The raven took flight and disappeared into the clouds. You are very practical. What do you want? Answers. I'm not the one who should give them to you, but she's given me a message for you. Agnorok fell silent. What the hell did the goddess of death want from him? The priestess smiled again. She was excited by the half-orc's presence. She knew something else, but it was evident that she would never tell him. You are under their half-orc protection. Whenever you need it, the temples of Thani will give you their help in whatever you want. Of course, she did not expect to hear that. The priestess slowly approached Agnorok and whispered in his ear. It's time for you to accept your fate. Then the priestess stroked the half-orc's hair to disappear. Agnorok was left alone again. He was looking for answers, but now he had many more doubts. Why the hell was he under the protection of the goddess of death? A voice emerged inside the temple. You already know the answer. Arian watched from his window as the mercenaries loaded his belongings into the wagon. Now they left for Olbiana, the jewel of the south. In its port they would embark for Turkheimak. In less than a week they would arrive in the cursed city. The young woman is nervous, but not only because of that trip. There was the two of them carrying some sacks in the wagon, two mercenaries, the two half-orcs, and so different. Agnorok strong, confident, quiet. Agile, intelligent, brilliant. She was attracted to both of them, but deep down she only loved one of them. Although they were focused on their work, furtive glances escaped from both of them towards her. Sometimes she talked to Vanus about the subject. The doubts were less and less. Jumel played silently with his dagger. He was bored, although he was disciplined and loyal. Although he had decided to fulfill his mission with his usual efficiency, he longed to be in the service of his master in Arceo and to attend to his usual duties. At least now he had an incentive. Fedoras personally took care to find him a place where he could observe the meeting with the mercenaries totally unnoticed. Agnorok was there, that damned half-orc. He was like a rat, able to survive forever. He smiled angrily, his right hand touching the only scar on his face, the fruit of Agnorok. The main thing was the mission he had been ordered, but if he could also take revenge on that bastard, he would not hesitate for a moment. Jumel nailed angrily to the table, savored imagining that moment, and then smiled again. He was very close.